Good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room. This is a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I don't think we shared this, but before I do, I'm going to verify this. Yeah. Gonna have to be something we have a little chat about. Okay? So while everyone fills in and I get my shit together, uh, try a little war on for size. And by that I mean Edwin Starr's uh, 1969 hit War. You ever just come across a story and you're like, "Oh, that explains a lot." Oh, that sucks. Okay. $100 to the charity of your choice if you can guess what we're about to talk about. Ooh, if you can guess what the first story is about. Ooh, you want to play that game? Come on. Somebody out there. If you get it right, I'll donate $100 to the charity of your choice. You get Here's the thing though, if you get it wrong though, you got to promise to make a donation to a charity of your choice. We'll give everybody a couple minutes. There's about 10 people, so it's a nice early crowd. It's probably the more loyal of you. Okay. What is the first story this morning? Does anybody know? Not even a guess? Okay, what if I say, okay, if you don't get it right, then don't worry about the donation. Just make a guess. And people don't want to play the fucking guessing game. They're like, Jared, you're supposed to deliver the news, not withhold the news and play a game. But here's what I saw this morning, and it was like, ah, son of a bitch. And again, understand like the news is gonna sensationalize some shit. Good morning, Disney. Somebody said war in Gaza. No, it's this video right here from the Kiev. And I even went and looked it up. Here's a story that co-ops the act on the 14th from CNN. So I came armed with, uh, hey, I saw a video this morning. And again, I'm not the kind of person to panic. So this isn't me panicking. This is me saying like, I watched a video this morning and I was like, oh, that fucking sucks. Oh, that answers a lot of questions. Like, what the fuck happened that they're kind of hands off with Putin? What the fuck happened where, if you really think about it, it's like everyone's on pins and needles. Nobody really knows what the fuck to. Yeah, I kind of think I figured out why. On February 14th, 2025. So, what's today? May 21st. So, a little over 90 days ago on Valentine's Day. Russia flew a kamikaze drone into Chernobyl. And long story short, again, my goal here is to not put people into a fucking panic. My goal is to inform. Um, so the issue is that the air, from what I understand, and again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a nuclear physicist, and I didn't stay in a Holiday Inn Express last night. And so, what I feel comfortable relaying is that the engineers are saying it's taking longer um, to fix it, and the conditions are worsening. Obviously, your hope is like it doesn't do that thing that spiraled out of control, right? So, like, they're trying to fix it as fast as they can. Um, Crush asked, do you remember what date it was when all those ambulances went to Mar-a-Lago? Like before he was inaugurated? So yeah. So there's a video, there's a article. Again, not necessarily meant to like alarm anyone. That happened over 3 months ago. The video I posted is from April 25th, so the better part of a month ago. But if it's news to me, I mean, with all the shit that's been going on in the world, did you know that Russia flew a kamikaze drone into Chernobyl? Did you know that? I didn't know that. I didn't already know that today. I found that out today. Um, so you see, like, first of all, I don't know everything, right? I don't know everything all the fucking time, okay? And sometimes you're gonna sit here and I'm gonna figure out some shit. More numbers. So a lot of people are not asking because people don't, but I've been posting a lot of like sport related content. I am a sports coach. Um, for those that wonder, um, I think that I have a unique skill that is very unique to other people, very unique to me. And a lot of my bosses, people that have been in charge of me, have noticed that I can learn information and apply what I've learned quickly. So that makes me like a good coach. So I can like learn and process information quickly, and that does that make sense? One of the reasons I want to get into coaching is because there's lots of people that don't like to work hard and they want to be good at stuff, right? I am in an odd position where I didn't play, Division One sports for 4 years, and I'm not a teacher. And here in Indiana, the sort of death sentence, um, as refers to me, coaching sports. So I got to kind of luck into some shit in order to get a job. So I've been posting Indiana Pacers stuff, hopefully to draw more Pacers stuff to my algorithm, right? So that I see more Pacers fans. That would make me happy, right? Um, but also it's like opening yourself up to a wider audience, right? For the last 6 months, we've sat in a nice little comfortable zone, right? Where it's really just been the sycophants and the loyalists, right? If you really think about it, we've had a bunch of loyal people show up every day. I'm talking to my audience, so y'all should be just beaming. This is me saying like, hey, without you, there's no me, right? Hardly a point of having an audience-focused show without one. But what I try to do is be just be consistent and then your reach is, like what I'm branching at. When I'm branching out, I'm not trying to be uncomfortable. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to talk about shit I don't know about, right? I actually, yeah, that's one of the one of the things I don't bitch about is attention. Okay, let me introduce you to one of my favorite songs, and it will make you, first of all, Joji fucking absolutely annihilates this track. Okay, if you don't know who Joji is, that's on you. Okay, and I actually have two songs for this topic. Okay, this is Attention by Joji. Okay. Mm, mm. Remember, a lot of people's language is behavioral, or not behavioral. It's practiced. A bit of attention. Yeah. You put your memories in the sun. Now would you hate me if I said goodbye so quick you could eat my dust? Would you hate me if I ran like hell in the wind and down to dust? And you other boys you never liked. Be so obvious. Keep it light. Keep it light. No. Nobody would listen. Anyway, so that's kind of how I feel about attention. And then also, uh, there's this. I'm really a big rap fan, and I fancy these people as legitimate artists and like poets and shit. And on top of Josie's attention, which is one of the ways I feel about uh caring about numbers. Okay. Speak to Penthouse. IG disease, do everything for clout. Do everything for clout. Anyway, so when music starts playing in my head, when I start thinking about content creators losing their revenue, right? People that have transitioned out of like capitalism and the restraints that it puts on you, and they're just like free to fucking ramble and they get paid for that. That's one thing that's always been kind of funny to me, right? Is if you want to know what really pays is not being particularly political at all unless you're gonna propagate violence. And then you'll get real popular if you'll stay apolitical, right? And almost flip a light switch, almost like you're a paid stooge when you go from not really talking about politics to telling people to be fucking violent, you know? Because there's people that are trying to build an audience, right? They care very much about audience size, right? Because one of the things I've learned is there are few people, it's a party, right? Sometimes you get to a certain size and it's overwhelming and it's uncontrollable. And you know, Slipknot was right. People equal shit, you know? So that's the dangers of trying to be popular are that the people that are going to make you popular are not desirable. You get it? It's like the people that it's y'all. Aw, it's y'all that show up like every day, that are here with me, that are willing to accept me coming to you saying this is scary. And again, I refuse to fearmonger, so you'll notice I'm kind of dancing around saying shit like we're all fucked. Um, but again, I didn't know that Russia flew a kamikaze drone into Chernobyl. That might actually have an impact on my hands-off approach as it refers to Russia. I might want to look into choking out their ability to arm themselves because clearly they'll do whatever the fuck. Somebody asked, is there a way in chat to have it go to all messages? It always filters to top. Oh, so at the top of the messages it says top chat and you could just click live chat. At the very top, if you look straight up your chat bar, it says top chat and there's a little arrow next to it and you want to click down and click live chat. Sorry. Telling chat on YouTube how to get it together. I like to use music to illustrate my points. But yeah, since I'm a sports coach, right? And I have a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics, rather than um, take on advertising. I try to branch my content out a little bit. So you've seen a little comedy or attempt. I would rather be modest here. You've seen an attempt or two for me to be funny. Okay. And then I'm guessing the sport related content. Okay. But for me, what will happen is I will have a post go viral. Rest of funds were cut off, but they took that off of them thanks to Trump and Hegseth. Yeah, yeah. So if here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying about finding out today that a little over 90 days ago, Russia sent a kamikaze drone into Chernobyl, and that as of about a month ago, the Kiev Independent saying engineers are racing to defuse that situation. And again, I don't regularly see content saying that that happened. But I want to point out that if you voted for Donald Trump, and you have yet to sort of feel like any of the things that have happened in the last like 9 fucking years are your fault. Okay. I just want you to know that if the engineers trying to fix whatever happened in Chernobyl from months ago, that the Kiev media is still the Kiev Independent. My apologies, that's not mass media, that's independent media. Still reporting they're still trying to fix it. And it becomes unmanageable. And that former nuclear disaster site becomes an active disaster site. And you start seeing fucking kids with two heads and 5 ears and shit, maybe you'll realize you did this. Maybe you'll realize that by not snuffing Putin, we're gonna have to bear him. That's what I that's what I came in to work thinking about today. Do you see why it's not okay to be friends with Russia? Do you first of all, you'll see them turn their back on you, right? So act like Russia's not going to attack the people trying to fix Chernobyl. Act like that's not going to happen. And then think about the sort of hands-off approach that they've had on him, on Putin, right? Think about all the attack on infrastructure Ukraine has done, and instead of attack directly. And they kind of snuck that in there months ago. Here's United Healthcare, them finding out United Health secretly paid nursing homes to reduce hospital transfers. United Health Group, the nation's largest healthcare conglomerate, has secretly paid nursing homes thousands in bonuses to help slash hospital transfers for ailing residents. Remember how I've told you the US healthcare system is failing and we have to go in a different direction? We have to we have to we have to do universal healthcare. Yeah. Um, as many of you have learned, I'm a socialist. I believe in equality for all, sort of the polar opposite of this regime, right? Like, as opposed to destroy and punish every DEI initiative and defund it, I think that I want to actively do business with people that practice diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah, damn United Healthcares, right? As opposed to the anti-union hyper-capitalist regime that's in power right now. I'm pro-union, and as a socialist, we have what's called the socialist economic theory, which says that things like rent, interest, and rent, interest, and utilities, rent, interest, that sounds like work to me. Rent, interest, and taxes are derivative of your labor, and that a socialist would work to reduce those things. So my very job function is socialist in nature. Every day I go to work and I help people stop paying fucking interest. So if you look at your credit cards, personal loans, and payday loans payments every month and you're thinking, God damn, I'm throwing away hundreds of dollars a month on fucking interest and I'm broke all the fucking time, there's your problem. I can help you solve that. Okay. So my very job is even socialist in nature. Obviously, I get paid for that. So a lot of people are going to be like, I got to pay bills too, kids. Yep. The states are mounting a court challenge to Donald Trump's tariffs. So keep in mind, Donald Trump has repeatedly lied about having made deals um, with like over 200 countries that he suggested. By the way, I'm gonna keep saying it. Israel, U.S. intel suggests Israel preparing a strike on Iran's nuclear facilities, CNN reports. So for the record, why would they leak that? New intelligence obtained by the United States suggests that Israel is making preparations to strike Iranian nuclear facilities. First of all, this sounds way too much like Top Gun Mavericks plotline. I'm gonna keep saying it. The whole plot, the whole plot of Top Gun Maverick is destabilizing someone's nuclear enrichment program, and it's Iran. I just want to throw that out there. But why would intel chiefs in the US go public with information that Israel, who's their fucking ally, right? Why the fuck would Israel, who is our ally, why would we put that out there? You get what I'm saying? Like why? Yeah, no, yeah, nothing's been done about the tariffs. I want to make sure we keep pointing that shit out. So everybody out there that hasn't already started stocking up on toilet paper and paper towels, I would stock up on shit you know you'd be pissed if you didn't have, right? I would strongly recommend you, I would strongly recommend you get paper towels, baby wipes, your diapers, formula. I'm not so much worried about subsistence. I live walking distance from a grocery store. Ultimately, I could walk if I had to. You know what I'm saying? Like shit got bad enough, I'll pick off the shelves. Okay. But I would recommend getting an extra set of paper products. I'm just throwing that out there. You know what I mean? You might want to double buy your TP and your paper towels. You know what we do is we buy animal food, right? So we have cats and dogs, two cats and four dogs. So we gotta have a bag or two backed up. hmm And then we get factor meals and we'll like freeze them, which is what we should do. I should have told my wife we should stay on factor, just freeze them. Yeah, yeah. Which see, other countries are being completely reasonable by telling the president of the United States to stop fucking around with these tariffs. Okay, so but I just want to point out how I should not be reading. Here's what I think. I was in the military during a time of war, and communication is like fucking everything. Loose lips sink ships. Remember, I've been saying that for a long goddamn time. So it's kind of striking to me when I read a Reuters article saying U.S. intelligence received information that their ally is going to attack Iran's nuclear enrichment program. And it's like, first of all, that sounds like the plot of Top Gun Maverick. We're going to have to slow the fuck down. And then, second of all, why the fuck are we going public with what our ally is doing militarily? Like, why are we just announcing that to the public? Is Iran our ally? Or, or are the people that are in charge of this country have lost the calm and there's no communication security in this regime, and there's a reason those motherfuckers are not privy to some of the more classified information. I just want to make sure everyone understands that there was something that they were supposed to do. Did you like that, by the way? It was Top Gun Maverick are my two favorite films. So I grew up wanting to be an astronaut, and then I don't think I've ever told y'all this. So I used to do stand-up comedy, okay? And then again, I didn't say I was fucking funny, okay? But I don't know that I've ever done my opener for you. I don't think I've ever done that. So I'll, is that okay? Everybody left. So I'm just gonna do it. My name is Jared, and when I was a little kid, um, my I wanted to be an astronaut, and then when I was 5, the Challenger blew up on live television, and that's the only time I've ever seen both my parents cry and hold each other, and they also were not mad at me. And afterward, my mom said, "You could be a test pilot." And I grew up and I'm too big to do either of those jobs. I'm 6'4" and broad-shouldered and barrel-chested. And I have even fucking wide hips and thick thighs for a man. Um, and I couldn't have been an astronaut. It's too big to be an astronaut. And when you go to be like the bit's over, long over. But when you go to be like a test pilot, that cockpit's actually smaller. So I just want to point out, Mom, that when the Challenger blew up, her thought process was not that'll never happen to him in a million fucking years because the space program will have been all but fucking dissolved by the time becomes an astronaut. That's real. I shouldn't even have said that. That's just real. Um, but also, what makes it fucking worse is that when I actually went to Purdue, and I got to meet an astronaut, and this was somebody that had been in space, and I was like, holy shit, like I still have that fire. I still want to be like a fucking astronaut, right? I gotta sit down and have like a meal with an astronaut in their the blue little jumper they wear and everything with the patch on it, all kind of shit. And we were having a meal, and I just asked them like, is it worth it? Like, is it like the best shit ever? And they leaned forward and they were like, what do you really want to do? You know, and I was a child. Understand, I was like 20 years old, kid. And I said, I want to find Earth too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like send me to the edge of the galaxy. I fucking hate people. Um, right? And they were like, how do I say this? Like, no. Do you get it? Like, you are gonna waste your life thinking I'm gonna go find Earth too, and it's not fucking out there. And I was like, what? And he was like, let me guess, you think there's fucking aliens too, right? And I was like, no, actually, I don't believe in aliens. I just think people are stupid. And they said, okay, that's good because there's nothing out there. Every now and then we hear something and we investigate it and we're like, oh my God, it's like it's not. It's not, man. Hey, Allie. So obviously there's a lot of things. There's a lot of reasons that I didn't become an astronaut. But talking to a fucking astronaut that had been in space when you're like 20 and they're like, yeah, don't waste your fucking time. You're not going to Earth too. And you're like, oh yeah, well, I ain't taking this job. Understand hindsight's fucking 2020, Jared. Become an astronaut. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, same thing. I don't normally talk about this because it's like you see all the people that did play sports in college, and I'm kind of the one that didn't make it. I never let that like bother me. I just went from one sport to the fucking next and was like, whatever, I'm making one of these bitches for the record. But it's the same stroke for me when I meet people that like play college football and I'm like, was it worth it? Especially if they did it like more than a year or two and they generally are like, fucking no, costs a bunch of money, hurt me forever, right? And I think about often about how I wake up and I'm not in a bunch of pain, right? As a result of not having gotten to play college sports. Um, which is again the same thing about having been on active duty in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, not having had to go fight in some dumbass war in Iraq or Afghanistan, and not being some increased amount of pain as a result of that, whichever mental or physical, whatever. I'm s- I didn't choose what happened to me in this life. I've just kind of dealt with it. I've just kind of like gone through that. Um, but yeah, I think about often about how I should have just become an astronaut anyway and said fuck it. They'll build me a bigger spaceship. It wouldn't have happened, but I'd be sitting here in a NASA flight suit. You know what I mean? And they did do studies on people that go to space, and it is fucking terrible for you, by the way. As again, they never really tell us like you could want to leave the planet. Yeah, be grateful that I was in the military on active duty during a time of war. And I was also in 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, which at the time was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. In fact, when I got to 2-2, they were on the tail end of their 5th straight deployment to Iraq. 5 straights. I had guys that were my senior that were like that were like young NCOs or senior lances that were about to pick up corporal or sergeant. They were on their like 3rd or 4th deployment in one enlistment. They majorly, I think that's correct, operated in Karma and Mahmadiyah. For the record, it's not as nearly wrapped up in shooty shooty bang bang as that story should be. That them boys were helping them rebuild and wanted to go back. Um, so for the record, they had operated in the same area in Iraq for long enough that they were there when it fell and were part of the rebuild. And that's what a lot of those guys are like, my head and my heart is still in like Karma and Mahmadiyah. I want to go back. They frequently lamented like the local people that dared open business and shit like that in the wake of a small city with like large buildings in it just getting destroyed. Um, I've always told people like I'm not no fucking war hero. And like I said, I was friends with those people. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? And again also I want to make sure I say anytime I talk about the military, since I've come home, the bravest among us are the ones that have gone and fought in Ukraine. And Slava Ukraine, they're fighting in Ukraine so that we're not fighting on U.S. soil. Just so you understand, the war in Ukraine is a proxy war. Hmm. Yeah, the just throwing this out here. Republicans unite around sweeping Medicaid cuts. Hey, hey, if you have or you know someone that has to leave their house regularly for health care, that goes to a small local clinic or hospital, you might want to make arrangements to find another place to go. You're probably going to have to go to a bigger facility to set up your appointments. Okay. Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult for you to get in to see a specialist if you don't go ahead and lock that in now. You need to find someone. You gotta know it's coming. And the thing about it is, if you've sat on this show for I've been here every single day since December 12th, and I have sat here and said, now that this regime is taking place, you gotta know what's coming. Protesters have saved a building from being demolished for Trump to build one of his towers. Mm-mm. Yep. So I checked myself live before I shared something. You know what I find really interesting? And remember, there's the news, right? There's what the media's showing you, right? Right? There's what the media shows you. There's what you can go find, right? Which is what I think I would say is like more along the lines of the truth, where you could go to Reuters, you can go to AP, you can go to um the BBC, to Kiev Independent. There are tons of places to get what is actually happening. The Hill is another one, right? Um, but what I'd ask people to do, and it's not pretty. So you're not doing this for relief. I'd ask people to do is go to suppressed news on Reddit. Know that if you ever watched a news program and you wondered where the gore is, and where it dies, the gore dies in suppressed news. They're not showing you the physicality, the violence of this conflict, particularly in Gaza and in Ukraine. Slava Ukraine, fucking free Palestine. Okay? Know that the place that you can find it in abundance is right there on Reddit's suppressed news. Okay? Um, One of the things that I just became aware of that I didn't know until meow. Uh, Hamas only has like 20,000 people, 20,000 fighters. So, hey, I don't know about you and math and what your relationship is, but how the fuck do you kill 2 million people to kill 20,000? Come on, dog. Jesus Christ. One of my regulars, Bob, says he just spoke with a specialist yesterday. The earliest that he can get in to see an NP, a nurse practitioner, is September. It's May. And then if he wants to see and this is a specialist doctor, he won't be able to do that until January of next year. It's May. That's 6+ months to see a doctor. Oh, and think about this too. And again, I don't want to think about it. It's just fucking true. I grew up in a healthcare system. Okay. And when I say I grew up in a healthcare system, it means my mom worked at a nursing home and my mom did home health care at other people's houses. She cared for the elderly. And again, don't make it like an entirely empathetic thing. She got motherfucking paid. Okay. But I grew up in that. So like I went with my mom to work. I seen the system she works in, right? Um, I know, I know when healthcare workers get stressed, they're just like anyone else. They're gonna strike and boycott and protest. And if you think that you're gonna defund small local clinics and they're gonna lose their federal funding too, and they were already stressed, if you think they're not gonna just straight up fucking get out of the medical field. I worked in that field and I was really good at my job for years and I got out. I got out. What do you think happens when you stress out it's the same thing with COVID. They fucked up COVID so bad that people got out of healthcare altogether. And they don't give a fuck about this. All they'll say is y'all gotta tighten your belts. All this money's going to these fucking billionaires. And again, I just want you to know this is all a panic on the right. This is the right panicking. Okay? This is what the right does when they panic. This is what fascists do when they're in a blind panic. What they're doing is they're realizing that they may never consolidate power again after this. that this may very well be the death of the Republican Party, and that I've said for a long time it's going to cost a split between MAGA and the rest of the Republicans. And I say all that to say that it's not a good thing for them that when the MAGA leaves, when it takes up its ball and goes home, it goes home with all the money. Okay? I want to make sure we also point out that he hasn't actually done anything related to the budget yet, so you might want to slow down on that, because that hasn't actually happened. Okay? And again, it's not about results, it's about drama. It's about the TV show aspect of this. Okay? It's time to get involved. It's time. I've said for a long time people are going to want to not get involved. They didn't have the votes, is what I heard. Yep. And I've tried to use my platform to speak on things that I think will impact large numbers of people. And again, I'm going to keep pointing it out. Think about this. I could be callous about this situation. And I could recognize in the back of my mind, I know the very people who voted for this regime are along the lines of like 85% to be hit directly by this shit first. So understand we are literally sitting here caring for people who do not have empathy. See, Weber completely misunderstanding the situation. Weber, you're completely misreading the situation. The people that vote like I vote won't be affected negatively by this. Understand, sir, I have a college degree. I make $1,000 a day working from fucking home, and most of the people that voted for fucking Democrats also have a fucking college degree and also make good money. So guess what? They're going to be able to weather the storm. But it's the people that aren't educated and don't have money are not going to have access. And if you think this affects me, I'm a disabled veteran, sir. I get free health care from the VA. So guess what? My healthcare costs also are not changing. The fucking VA already said there will be no cuts to healthcare or veterans benefits, not during this administration, because they fucking know they're barking up the wrong tree with fucking with vets. So when you sit there and you are like, ha ha ha, just understand that the people that are going to be most affected by Donald Trump's poor policy are going to be the very, they cut jobs at the VA. Creaky. So I'm just letting you know, whoever that was, so much. Oh my God. Yes, that's what it is, Weber. I'm wrong and you're right. But here's what I also know. You're delusional and I don't want to be your friend. So, anyway, where were we? What were we talking about? Oh, I was saying like the people that are going to be mostly negatively affected by all of this voted for it. So, like my parents, for example, who are elderly and directly benefit from social safety nets. Uh, are going to be directly affected by it. You know, my mom works at a small private hospital with a nursing home attached. So not only have the healthcare companies been working to not move people out of her facility, right? We just talked about it at the top of the hour, right? Oh, and by the way, I care also greatly about weather, right? I've regularly pointed people to another YouTuber. His name is Ryan Hall. He's way more popular than I am, so don't even worry about it, Jared. But I watch these storms, and you know what I think when I'm watching these storms? Who does this mostly negatively impact? Poor white people. The people, very people that voted for this regime. And then FEMA funds getting denied to Tennessee and Kentucky and North Carolina and Missouri, right? Thinking about Missouri, for the record, thinking about St. Louis, it specifically, you know what sucks is I fucking love St. Louis. The first big time poker paycheck I ever got was in St. Louis. Um, and again, that is not, m- at least not to my knowledge, majority poor white people. Yeah, Alabama had storms last night. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. In my brain, I was like, I couldn't remember if it was Mississippi or Alabama last night. But I was even watching Ryan Hall. That's literally what I do when I'm not live with you talking about the news or at work. I track weather loosely. Meaning like I'll if Ryan Hall has something going on, I'm gonna go look and say, well, why is he going live at 4 o'clock? Oh shit, there's this fucking storm. So we've kind of lost the National Weather Service. I don't really care about the weather app anymore, right? The NOAA, right? Yeah, Jerry said hurricane season hadn't even fucking started yet. Yep, yep. As someone who was on active duty on in the southeast part of the United States and lived through three hurricane seasons there, and one of my more prouder moments of service is when I was in the darkest moment of my life, which was MCT AIT, which is Marine Corps Combat Training or Advanced Infantry Training. It's there's this little school you go to after boot camp. Um, Long story short, it just you go sit on a base and get treated like shit, and there's nothing to do until that program kicks off, until you actually get picked up by a battalion, and now you're gonna go do your AIT, Advanced Infantry Training. Okay. While I was there, stuck in a waiting cycle, a hurricane hit, and they took a bunch of fucking Marines and swept us up and put us in fucking Humvees, and put you in a little flak and Kevlar and sent us on down the road with rice and water and heat sources, and people were doing, and this was on I-95. I'm trying to think about when this was, but one of my mods from the Madriarchy said that a tornado hit a couple hundred yards from them on Monday night, and they didn't get an alert until 6 minutes later. So there's a reason that we're spending a considerable amount of our time together this morning talking about Ryan Hall. See, DB knows. Uh, I don't know that he's actually a professional meteorologist, but not all of that goes out of the window when there isn't another good place to go, when there's not another good source of information. And again, I've not been personally impacted by any of these storms, so I can't sit here and say the man saved my life, but I literally watch his YouTube, and every single day, it's not people naysaying him, it's not people talking bad on his name. It's talking about, if I hadn't known about you and watched this show, my whole family wouldn't have made it. And so in the wake of, hey, they shut down the National Weather Service and NOAA, hey, Ryan Hall's been here the whole time. And he pre-schedules stuff. So not only do you know that there are storms when he's live, But he will, if you follow him, he plans stuff, and you know, like at 4 o'clock today, they're gonna sit down and start talking storms because something's going on. So he's not on you all day every day. You get it? But he's consistent. He's countrywide, so he does, and he is a little focused in the hills and the hollers of Kentucky and Tennessee, where he's like from. But I got fucking extended family I ain't talked to in 30 fucking years. That's from them areas, right? Uh, Not that I'm necessarily looking for them to swim out or anything, but it is something you think about. Like all them people in them hills and them hollers in Kentucky and Tennessee, them's all my extended family. Hit North St. Louis, the most deprived area. And I wonder why, Bob. I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be provocative when I do, so please don't bail on me. I'm just wondering, Bob. Is North St. Louis poor and ethnic? Ethnically diverse? Is that a feature of North St. Louis? You said most deprived. There's a reason we're taking our sweet time talking about the weather, talking about how FEMA, while they're ignoring North St. Louis, right? While they're ignoring North St. Louis, a predominantly ethnically diverse area, but hey, they're also, for as far as I know, correct me when I'm wrong, FEMA has been denied in Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina, as far as I'm aware. I don't, and I know, well, I hate to be like that. In terms of St. Louis, it's like, hey, if they're not giving him to fucking Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina, what makes you think they're going to give him to Missouri? Yeah, yeah. And keep in mind, this is tornado season, Weather Channel subscription. Yeah, right. Yeah, one of my mods lives in Arkansas, and they already tried and failed with their FEMA request weeks ago. So I just want to make sure, for those of you on teetering on the edge of ever voting for a fucking Republican ever again in your life, know that this regime will totally get in power and withhold FEMA funds to Republican states. What do you think's going to happen with hurricanes? Oh my God. In Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. Fuck, man. It's really going to put a hamper on SEC football. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I'm a man. You know where my brain went. Like, damn, that's gonna make SEC football. It's a bad joke, kids. Bad joke. You're supposed to roll your eyes and laugh. Yeah. And I was gonna say Texas, but then I'm like, I'm trying to think when's the last time a hurricane spun out. You know what I'm saying? And then it didn't have that hook and hit Texas. So hey, I've said, if you just can't fucking do this shit anymore, you have to realize that you're part of the resistance. If you're not if you're not part of the resistance, you're part of the problem. You're basically a stormtrooper. Disney said, "I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan." You know who I so I'm a sports coach, and I go to an annual football coaches clinic with about 2,500 other veterans as part of an organization called Soldiers to Sidelines. And it's funny that you brought up Tampa Bay because the opening speaker, not last night, but the night before that, was none other than Rod Marinelli, who was motherfucking fantastic. By the way, Rod Marinelli was the head coach when they won their fucking Super Bowl a long goddamn time ago. I think it was '06. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But Rod Marinelli opened up the program and he was goddamn fantastic. You know exactly why he's a football coach. Bob said the Texas government's going on vacation as soon as these hurricanes hit. You know it's fucking true. I can already see what's his name? Ted Cruz. He already has his bags packed. And oh by the way, ladies, you got to start talking to ladies, okay? The story from The Guardian says the real story isn't young men supposedly voting far right. It's what young women are doing. Okay, we need to whip that shit around, right? We don't, ladies, we don't vote for people that makes it uh so that. And let me get this straight. Tell me when I'm wrong. And it was a black woman that I want to make sure I point this out, but there was this pregnant woman, and to make sure I get it right every step of the way, black woman, pregnant, and how do I say this kindly? She went into a vegetative state or close to it and had it like a DNR. Like a if it happens to me, fucking put me out and shit. But the fact that she was pregnant and because of abortion laws and the fact that it was like 9 weeks and they had just passed like a 6 week abortion ban, this woman in a vegetative state, forced to continue to carry despite a DNR. Is this? I believe this is all accurate. Tell me you'd ever vote for a fucking Republican again. Oh, no option of DNR. But so like she went into a vegetative state and couldn't make she couldn't have made a decision. Family didn't get to choose. Hmm. Also, one of the things that the medical practitioners involved are going to have to deal with, um, just because it was the law doesn't make it right. And while, one of the things that wanted to make sure we clarify why this is particularly heinous, I believe, is the frame with which this particular situation wears. The it's framed in as heinous because the child won't survive. So it's like, why are we doing this? I want to make sure we know that the cruelty is the point. It is not about the result, it's about shock and awe. It is a means of maintaining a control over a populace because it could happen to you. Um, Good for you. Good for you, Evelyn. So insane. But yeah, I don't know how you could know that that happened and ever vote fucking Republican again, especially if you're a woman. But I can also say I can empathize with people admitting they live in an unsafe environment. And if you feel like it's required for you in order to live in a safe environment that you vote for your oppressor, you live in a state of fascism and authoritarianism. When you are afraid to vote against that, hey Kiko, let's enjoy this 5 game gentleman's sweep. As I've said, if you are to the point where you're like, man, I can't tolerate this shit anymore, it's time to become an active member of the resistance. It's time to delete Facebook, Threads, IG, WhatsApp, Twitter, and Amazon off your devices. I've done all but Amazon, and I try not to buy shit on Amazon. Try to do business locally, get to know your neighbors, grow a garden, get a generator, get solar panels. Understand, one of the things that's consistently coming up in my mind where I'm like, why wouldn't they just do that and try to like control us? There are nine substations in the United States to control the electric grid. Nine. Not even that many. And how many do you think you take out and it fuck up electricity for millions of people and then try to control us that way? If I were the family of that woman, I'd be taking names to submit for prosecution when Republicans are ousted. I also want to make sure we point out that we are not saying we lose every day. In my eyes, every single day someone has to face a decision made by a Republican that voted Republican. Every single day, somebody think about this. Think about all the actions that the dude's taken. Think about how I've sat here every day and I've saying, the math says overwhelmingly this hits people that look like me. Overwhelmingly, this affects people in my family, like the dismantling of social safety nets, particularly like an $800 billion cut to Medicaid on the table right now. That's the Medicaid program. Hey, well, given that at least two were taken out during the election season that we were able to verify, 55,000 seems like a lot. I like to use here. This is a good article. Research and analysis. hmm Yeah, I'm talking about like the big ones. Somebody said it's really hard. Well, over 70% of the US electric grid is over 25 years old. The US grid's divided into three interconnected regions, Eastern, Western, and ERCOT, which are largely isolated from each other. That makes them vulnerable. Um, Yeah, yeah, the big ones is what I'm talking about. Yeah, like if there's 55,000 of something and two of them go down, it's a non-story. That's not what we're talking about. It was a story during the election season because two of them went down, and it was like if one or two more of these go down, it destabilizes electricity in the United States. So it's definitely not something that one is impermeable because more than one of them went down, and then it couldn't have been as meaningless as a couple of 55,000. This is your consistent reminder to wear a mask. Hey, the way I approach a mask, okay, I'm a sports coach, right? So it's not fucking cool to be a sports coach and always be wearing a mask, right? One of the things I realize is if it's just me and like another person, I'm probably okay. I'm gonna go to like a job interview, me and one other guy is probably okay. But if I go to like a practice, a sports practice, and I'm gonna be breathing other people's fucking air, I'm probably wearing a mask. That's kind of how I think about it. If you know where you're going, you're gonna be within 6 feet of a person all the time. Hey, you probably don't need to wear a mask. But without a CDC, without the CDC, there's an article from NPR tucked there. Jesus Christ, here they are. I mean, Republicans are proposing $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid and food stamps. And I want you to know, those of you that, again, every time you hear that, it takes your breath away. I just want to consistently remind you that that cut statistically primarily affects the very people that voted for Donald Trump at a high level. Yeah, we need to reactivate the CDC. Yeah, for sure. Mhm. But how you could see this happening and not think like we have to protest, boycott, and strike. So in addition to like every accusation's a confession. Here's Donald Trump accusing Joe Biden of treason 2 days after the guy got announced with cancer. Yep. 500 billion to Medicare too. Yeah. So hey, I'm just let me be the bearer of bad news. Hey, if this bill passes, that's Medicaid and Medicare gone so that a handful of billionaires can benefit. That those social safety nets, SNAP, Medicare, and Medicaid, which are the primary targets of this regime. Yep. They asked Biden, why does he hate you? He said, because they beat him. Oh, yeah. The one thing I've said over and over on my show. The reason that Donald Trump hates Joe Biden so much is because Joe Biden is an incredible president and an actual politician with 30 plus years of geopolitical experience, and he beat Donald Trump's ass by like 7 million plus votes. It wasn't fucking close. And then was a really good fucking president. Like he also followed up beating Donald Trump's ass in an election by also then crushing the job. He was a little slow to act, but it turns out he had a you know, he had a growth on his balls, kids. Relax. It's still in committee. And yeah, they're getting rid of the annual COVID shot unless you're over 65. Hmm. I think I speak for all of us when I say, who the fuck is Jake Tapper? And why do you keep coming up? Yeah, you got to download the Five Calls app, keep calling your congressman. You got to get out here and protest, boycott and strike. As I've said, Protest Finder USA in the chat, R50501 in the chat. A lot of people have, a lot of the, and I'm not talking about women when I say it, but a lot of the bitches have said, can't get behind it unless it's an everyday thing because South Koreans protested for months twice to oust their shitty president. And I would counter that and say, actually, daily protests are here. So, uh, daily protests are here. Hmm. Yeah, Tapper who? I don't know. It's like Jake Tapper, right? Like, look at this shit. Jake Tapper tears into unethical, sleazy Hunter Biden, who acted like Biden family's chief of staff despite him being prone to horrible decision. It's like, how could you let that out of your gullet looking at this regime? I don't know what, that's why I said bitches and said I'm not talking about women. I don't know. Yeah, snowflakes? uh, snowflakes? And for the record, most white women are Republican as well. But yeah, the May Day movement here, so there's protests every single day. Okay. And then, as I've said, if you're kind of wondering, where's all the gore? Where's the Gaza, Ukraine stuff? It's hiding. They're hiding it. I found it. It's called suppressed news. And again, it's not because you want to see it. It'll tear you apart to see it, but you gotta wonder, where's it at? Like, why isn't it being shown on mainstream media? Why aren't they talking about this shit? Um, and I don't know if you've seen it yet. If you've seen somebody sit around and talk about being they're like pro-Israel. If you hear, they sound like a crazy person. I don't know if have you done this yet? Have you ever heard someone that's like pro-Israel speak words in English? You're like, do you need therapy? Oh, you're pro-Hamas, and it's like they committed a genocide. I mean, this shit's been going on since like 1948. Yeah. Did you know that there's not a country called Israel? Did you know that's not a place? The fact that it's called Israel and it's fucking not is blows my mind all the time. What? Only one fifth of blue, not sure what. See, what I've caught already is how quick we are to criticize, and I don't hear your cheer first. You get what I'm saying? You got plenty of. Are you a white woman? Because you're totally acting like a white woman. I don't know who you are, but you come really strong with critique, and I have never heard your cheer. I've never seen your support before. I don't know who you are. Do you get how, man, that's like not a way to approach someone at all. Maybe that's not, and also I'm the first person to say this shit right here about how few people are actually fucking Republican. Only like 32 million members in that party. That's less than 10% of the US population called themselves a Republican. Yeah. But this shit right here, this coming with heavy critique when I don't smell your support is questionable. Yeah, you're thinking of Jordan Klepper. We like Jordan Klepper. That's why I posted this shit about Jake Tapper, and I was like, who the fuck is this idiot? Who is this person? By the way, did you see this shit? Christine Nome got asked the definition of habeas corpus. It said it gives President Donald Trump the right to do whatever the fuck he wants. Christine Nome gave a bonkers ass definition. And remember how I told you, like, it's the death of the Republican Party? Who do you think was holding this shit together? Who do you think was holding it together? Fucking Elon Musk. Looks like he's cutting political spending. You ever notice how he and Donald Trump are breaking up? Good. Good. I didn't even have to block. Like if all I ever hear is critique from you and I don't count you among my fans, who the fuck are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck out of here. You throw around numbers, like where? And then what was hilarious is only a fifth of the country voted for Donald Trump, and it's like, really? Was it one out of every five people? We've done the math. And of course, if you're taking the numbers at face value and aren't on the train I'm on, which is like they cheated in this election, and even the numbers that are available are sus as fuck, right? It's really low. It's more like 15% or less. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, I'm being technically correct, less so. It's unfortunate. It started with I said when I qualified, and I was like, I'm talking about men, so I'm using the word bitch, but I'm not talking about women. And then I noticed that they corrected me, and it was like, interesting. Despite the disclaimer, because then their follow up was, there's not a good word for that for men. No shit, you don't say. And then you throw around numbers a lot. Don't lie. And it's like, you're questionable. I question you. I don't even have to block you. That's ridiculous. You do not have see people come around and they're like, how can I influence? I gotta influence this. Hmm, interesting. Remember, there's a reason shit happens, right? As the stock's up a little bit. Hmm. Oh, you know what? I heard this yesterday. Donald Trump wants to build an iron dome or golden dome, okay? Um the science around that said something along the lines of like 36,000 36 a network of 36,000 satellites it would take to build that. But I mean, yeah, the Election Truth Alliance. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of the Election Truth Alliance shit. He's got dementia. So one of the things you have to understand about the president of the United States is like every day you wake up and it's like horrible shit has happened and it feels like it's all piling up, but it's not piling up for him. He has dementia. So every day he wakes up and it's like a clean slate to just do some shit, right? And again, I've said the problem that I think, and again, I know people are like, problem. The problem I think that has made a lot of what he's done not hit is that, remember, he doesn't have any original thoughts, right? So again, Donald Trump is receiving instruction from Vladimir Putin, but it has to go through Elon Musk before it gets to. And he's why he doesn't sleep. He tweets all night. So, like I said, not only is he clearly receiving instruction from at least two people whose English isn't their first language, and then he doesn't really know what he's doing. So, again, I just want to point out that it's like the president of the United States is receiving instruction from two people who English isn't their first language. And then I don't think he's doing the communicating. I think there's another person in the room, and I don't know who it is. Marco Rubio. That feels like I'm throwing darts at a board and just Marco Rubio. And so Marco Rubio, he's got some sense, and so he's just like writing down the instructions received. It becomes a an EO or a presidential order, right? And he just signs it with a fucking Sharpie, and off we go. And ruling by fiat doesn't work, by the way, in the United States. Not during the show. So I'll check emails and shit after. Um, so yeah, when he doesn't sleep when he's under stress. I just want you all to know that that man has been looking over his shoulder for like 40 fucking years. So yeah, I think I'm okay with leaving it there. Mhm. That man has had trouble sleeping for a long fucking time. Somebody said not sleeping is dementia. Facts. Let's get out of here. Okay. Before we make too many enemies. A little bit of eat the rich. I believe in it. I honestly think you can't do all this shit and get away with it. I'm probably, and y'all got to remember, he's just gonna die. Hey, one of the things that I keep saying to myself, I mean nobody asked, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. One of the things I keep saying to myself is how insane it is, and it is fucking insane that Mark Root, so if you want to look this up, Rutte, Mark Root is considered like the fucking Trump whisperer. Okay? Mark Root told Donald Trump in the fucking Oval Office to his fucking face, you should visit The Hague in June. It's beautiful. I just want you to know it's not. What the fuck are we talking about? And I think Donald Trump's like, oh, would love to. Would love to check out the Netherlands. I'll make it happen. And I want you all to know, like, how many fucking people ever have been invited to the fucking Hague like it's a goddamn bar. I just want you I don't know how else to say that. I don't know how else to tell you that when Mark Root is like you should visit the Hague in June, again, I just want every that it's not a visit. Never mind. Never mind. Like people aren't yeah, like where the Hague is where the rich go to disappear. Hey, never to be heard from again. He saw that Simpson cartoon where they keep his head in a jar. Yeah, that would be the only reason he doesn't go to Hague. The only reason he doesn't just go visit the Hague, like it's just a place to go, is because he's scared. Because Donald Trump wants to walk. I mean, think about this. This man went to the Pope's funeral and didn't catch on fire, right? He's all time. He's like, I can literally go anywhere, do anything, and nothing bad will happen. And I'm telling you, it's like he thinks he can go to the fucking Hague and just like tour it. I'm telling you, he thinks like the Hague is a museum. And somebody said, "But the pig walks itself into the slaughterhouse." Exactly. Yeah. What are you talking about? They treat the Hague like they did the walls of the Capitol. Where they smeared shit all over the place. They see the Hague as the same. Anyway, y'all have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. But yeah, I think about that. Yeah, it's a dance club for the rich. Yeah, that's what they got to sell it as. I'll put it like this. I care about numbers. Remember how I'm a math kid? One of the things that I pulled when I started doing research on the ICC in The Hague, what I noticed was particularly jarring was the statistic, and that was that 87% conviction rate from The Hague. And I thought, oh, this is the court you can't miss. They don't fucking miss in The Hague. So I have no idea what you just said, Granny, but I'm gonna let it slide. It's pretty par for the course for TikTok. Y'all have a good day. I don't even know. Those are all words in English. That's all I'm saying. Hmm. Yeah, Lawrence O'Donnell is another good one. Yeah. I put why did I get that? Anyway, y'all have a good day.